Alright, what's going on, everybody? It's Appalachian Bassin here. I'm not going to be fishing today because I've got to get ready to go back to work. I work tonight, and there's a there's a few things I need to do to get ready, but of course I'll need to sleep sometime today, try to get back on my regular routine of working all night, sleeping all day. But anyway, there's just a few things that I would like to get off my chest that I've wanted to say for a while, and it's just basically three things that I wanted to cover that I haven't covered before. So here goes. Number one is catch and release fishing. Why do we practice catch and release fishing? We practice it so that a species can survive, especially in a very, very heavily fished area. Some species like the trout that are stocked and catfish, those are instances where me personally, I'm okay with people taking their limit. Nothing more, but taking their limit as what they catch. But largemouth and smallmouth bass are two completely different things when it comes to that. And the reason why I say it is because I've seen people catch really, really nice fish, you know, 14, 16 inch smallmouth right out of the river, one right after the other. And instead of doing what I think is the right thing and taking a picture with them and quickly getting them back into the water, they basically just cut their heads off, gut them, and throw them in the cooler. And I frown upon that kind of stuff. Don't be that person. It's just not cool. But largemouth and smallmouth are not stocked around here. I don't even know who you would call. You'd probably have to call DNR for a legitimate way to obtain a bass without catching one out of the river, out of the lake, and then keeping them alive till you get home, and then throwing it in an aquarium or pond or swimming pool, whatever. But anyway, I want to try to encourage people to practice catch and release because a lot of people don't, and it sucks. Because I like to go back to a place that I went to last year and catch fish again, And a lot of people, if it's over 6 inches long, they don't care. They throw it in their bucket or their cooler or throw it on a stringer, whatever. And there are some instances when it's understandable too, in which it has nothing to do with catch and release, but somehow, like a trout, for instance. Sometimes depending on what kind of a rig you've got going on, sometimes a trout could get gut hooked. And, I think it's really unsportsmanlike to just, cut off the line and throw it back in. The fish is going to have complications to survive, more likely than not. So in an instance like that, if it's 6 inches long, slap it on a stringer. Just put it out of its misery. And, it happens a lot. It happened to me a lot last year. Last year was the time when I got into trout fishing, thanks to my brother-in-law. And, it's just something that happens. Sometimes it can't be helped. Sometimes, you should be more vigilant. But either way, I think it's always a good idea to take a stringer with you. That way, if a fish is not going to make it, I wouldn't just throw it back in the water. I would at least take it home and make a bill out of it. Sorry, I'm reading a YouTube comment. As Jigging with Jake. No problem for the support, buddy. I'll go ahead and give you a shout out since, it just kind of popped up on my laptop. I'm using my laptop to prop up the GoPro. But, Anyway, go check out his channel. I'll leave it in the description, since I won't be leaving much of anything in the description today. Anyway, I think that's all I've covered on catch and release that I want to cover. And second thing, since I was talking about trout, the one thing that bothers me is the truck chasers. If you do not know what a truck chaser is, then I will gladly insert a picture at sometime. But anyway, what a truck chaser is an angler. Well, I wouldn't even call them an angler. They're more of a piss-on fisherman in my eyes. They get wind that the stock truck is coming to a particular lake at a particular time, and you see the stock truck come, and you see about 20 of these assholes in cars right behind the truck. And no sooner than they start dumping these fish into the water, they just throw out hooks, treble hooks, barbed hooks, whatever. No bait, no lure, no nothing. Just a bare hook, yanking these fish out of the water left and right. And if it's not a trophy size trout, what they consider trophy size, they'll leave it piled up on the bank to sit there and suffocate and die. And these people really piss me off. I was at a lake last year, or no, I'm sorry, I think it was earlier this year actually. It was earlier this year, and we see the stock truck coming, and by the time we get to where the truck was actually going, there's people everywhere. They're yanking them right and left, and we were just trying to get in there before everybody caught everything, because like I said, there's a crowd of people on either side of the truck just yanking them out left and right, piled up everywhere. And I'll go ahead and throw this out there, because if anybody shares this and shows somebody that they know is a truck chaser, I'll just let you know a law was passed earlier this year that makes it illegal now to fish within 200 feet of a truck while they are stalking. And believe you me, if I just so happen to be there the day that they're putting trout in the lake, you best believe if I see you getting too close, I'm going to let you know. I'll be the first to let you know. And the reason why is because, A, it's unsportsmanlike to do what these guys were doing in this instance, just yanking them out of the water left and right. The guys that were driving around in the truck, they have no control. They probably don't even care what happens to the fish once they get them there. Their job is to deposit the fish into the lake, and that's all. But on the other hand, I actually do care. So let me catch you. I want you to be fishing beside me when it happens, because I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit there, I'm going to record you, I will find out who you are, and I will present you to the DNR as to what you're doing, and whether or not they want to do anything about it, that is entirely up to them. But I'll feel better knowing that I did my part. And every time I say this, people say, well, why do you fish a stocked lake where it's heavily pressured? Why don't you go to a stream or something? I can go to a stream. That's no problem for me. But what is a problem is, these little 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old boys and girls that are out here fishing, maybe their parents don't want to drag them through the woods to go to a stream. Or maybe it's a 50, 60-year-old man who's not in the best physical shape. Maybe he doesn't want to trek all the way through the woods to get to a stream. The reason why I'm so anal about this is because people take advantage over something, and I don't like it. So, and speaking of, that day at the lake I was just talking about, the majority of the people that were down there that were hooking these trout and throwing them up on the bank, they were older men, probably around their 50s and 60s, that were just down there yanking them out left and right. Not even throwing a bait on. Nothing. So, let me see it. I'll be the first person to let you know what you're doing is wrong. I will have my camera going, and I will find out who you are one way or another. And I'll be glad to let the DNR know that, this person should probably be paid a visit. Because if they're not taking them home, at least their legal limit, I feel they should be held responsible in some way for killing all these fish. It's such gluttonous waste is all it really is. And like I said, it just pisses me off. Don't be that person. And I think that's all that I have to talk about on the truck chasers. And moving on to my final little rant here is the trash. The trash is terrible in my area. I understand some of it is caused by the flood. Every time it rains a whole lot, some places around here flood like crazy. It doesn't even take a lot of rain for some places. But what irks me is going down to a place that I frequently fish and seeing someone's decided to leave their beer boxes laying there, or their empty cigarette pack, empty snuff cans, their beer bottles everywhere. And fishing line. Their fishing line is the absolute worst. And sometimes you'll find a hook on the other end of it, and you won't be too pleased when you find it. So, what I encourage people to do is, A, don't throw your shit down on the ground. That's not where it was made. That's not where you got it from. If you bring it with you, take it back with you. And another thing that I really like to go over to is